Hello, welcome to today's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. Today we have special co-host Erin R. Ryan is back,
Hi.
and we have Mike Canestaro. I'm gonna butcher it.
You thought it too hard.
Yes, I did. I thought about it. That's always my weakness. As soon as I start thinking about somebody's last name, I will butcher it every time.
But
Even when I've got it.
Canestaro, it's all
Canestaro,
good.
yes.
Yeah.
I should get it right because I am a DC comic fan, and Starro is a great villain in DC Comics. So
there you go. You just need Canes before it.
Canis Starro. There we go. So you are a teacher, stand-up comedian, actor, and now a director. And you're editing, and how do you find that kind of time?
I don't. I don't find it at all. But I'm a chip away at it guy, and so I kind of pick my spots. I did used to be obsessed with stand-up, which is extremely time consuming, and now I find that as this hair got grayer and the nights, late nights, when you're in your 50s, late nights with free drinks, not always a great thing. So, but Henrik Kuto is able to, get me into being in front of a camera. And I grew up with a Sony Beta movie. So I made little home movies all the time, always stupid, always trying to be funny.
Oh, yeah.
And so I feel like I'm kind of coming back home again when it comes to, writing and directing and acting way too much in a silly, stupid movie. And I say stupid, in a loving way. But it's been a lot of, it's taken us a long time. So it's not like I'm 18 hours a day crushing it over here. I'm just whittling away at this mountain. So
good things take time.
Yes,
they sure do. Yeah.
Yeah. As someone who I legit work at, this is my editing area. I'm always working on something over here, whether I'm at and then I'm a night guy, so I don't go to bed till about 2-3 in the morning. So I'm working on stuff till late. Then I start up the next morning on something else, and then I go to work and I come home and I start working on something else, whether it be the podcast or the other shows. And I can't imagine like trying to edit a movie on top of just having a regular day job and family and stuff. That's gotta be a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Well, my kids are grown now, so mostly out of the house, and I just semi-retired. So I got to get after it. I got to get after it hard, and it's just getting me to sit. Erin knows this. Getting me to sit still in one place. Challenge, real challenge.
Yeah.
Got the energy of like 6 directors.
And the brain of a half of one,
Not true.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing. It's all right.
Erin and I talked about this the other day. You decide your first movie is going to be a Western. like people have I wrote scripts and people I was going to do one in the 80s, and they're like, you know how big of a pain in the butt that's going to be to do this? I'm like, and then you're like, oh, first one, Western. You're going to do a period piece as your first.
I'm smart.
Yeah.
And not only did I do that, I put, about a dozen significant characters into the story. And I think what happened is I fell in love with a story that I wrote as a novel. So Big Trouble in Jackass Flats is available on Amazon. You can buy the paperback, or I got a bunch of, author copies of it. But I just fell in love with the idea that a Western being so machismo, what if it had kind of a ninny as a main character that was really neurotic, had a bunch of foibles. And there was also lumped on top of that a bunch of the modern bullcrap we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So the minutia of life. So it was just a story I fell in love with. And when the location greenlighted me, I'm kind of like, this is it. I got my one chance to try to take a stab at it. And it has been a struggle with shooting, and we can get into that later. But it's, there's a lot of things, like you say, that are hard to do. when it comes to a Western, especially in Ohio, you know?
Well, I say you say that, but I did an interview and went to a premiere, but there was a Western filmed in over by Columbus at a place over there, and I guess there is an old West town,
Yeah.
full town, and I'm like, what, where? And they're like, oh, it's like
Oregon.
20, yeah, 20
Oregon,
minutes
Ohio.
outside. Yeah.
Yeah, Oregon, Ohio. They weren't as receptive to me as Terror Town was. So went with them, and we got a lot of good shooting days taken care of down there.
And that's great when you can go like, hey, I wrote this book. I'm going to make it into a movie. And then you're like, oh, I found a place to film. I'm staying in Ohio. And you're bringing in your Ohio actors and that's amazing that you're able to do something like that in this area, period. So
I think a lot of the people that I worked with, like Erin and others, they are. I think what they did, and then I have a lot of comics in my. I have a lot of stand-up comedians who did work in the film, and a lot of them were surprising me in terms of how professional and how comfortable they were in front of a camera. And then there were some struggles, but nothing big because it's supposed to be a silly movie.
Yeah.
So something goes wrong, we pretty much made fun of it. I just had to do a little bit of writing outside of the script once in a while. And, but yeah, I felt like I got to make this work because I'm really trying to capitalize on some goodwill I've built up over the past half a dozen years, or 10 really, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Working, being in independent film. And so I think, fingers crossed, it's all on me now. And it all it had hiccups, but I'm tickled. I'm really tickled with what I'm seeing in the dailies and stuff.
See, I think if you make a movie and there are no hiccups, did it really go off? Because you've got to have issues, even if it's a small issues, to make it feel right. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What did Bruce Campbell, I think, said, like movies that are easy to make are hard to watch?
Yeah.
It was Bruce Campbell?
I think so.
So.
Yeah. So, yeah. So this should be easy to watch.
It was fun though. It was really fun. I mean, I know I can't imagine the stress that you still have about it, editing and everything like that. But I had a great time. So even in the heat.
I know the heat was a problem. I do got to say, I never cried. I feel like that's what you tell your mom, like when you fell and hurt your elbow. I never cried the whole time. Mm-hmm. But like heat, sound issues. And you know something funny is the fact that I'm in editing now, and it's probably a year or two after my naive mind thought we'd be. It gave me a chance to take some classes at my employer and learn Adobe Premiere and how to shoot and how to light and sound, and sometimes too late, but like Adobe Premiere can do so much better than it could a while ago with the artificial intelligence and the voice enhancement. I use a lot of this stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad it took me this long now.
Yeah, it's one of the ones where when I started doing all my podcasts and stuff, I was like, man, I was like, I need to get a camera and all this stuff like that. And Tina's like, why? And I'm like, well, what? She goes, you can do all this on the computer. It's super easy. And then she shows me, I'm like, oh, it is that easy. Oh, wow. Okay. Cause she does photography. So she showed me like all the taking the footage and cleaning it up and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that is easy. Wow, crap. I should have been doing this years ago. And then she goes, years ago, I didn't have it. So you would have been stuck. So yeah, heck yeah. You learn, and technology is evolving with you now instead of you having to wait for technology to catch up to where you're at. So
yeah. I mean, it's stuff I was worrying about on set. I now in the next one, and you're like, there's gonna be a next one. I don't like talking about the next one, although I talked to Erin like way too long about it earlier in the week. But I got the
I was
idea
excited.
set. I don't have a script. I'm gonna sit down and maybe to make myself a little bit more mentally healthy during the editing process, I might say I'm going to write 15 minutes a day on that script or something, just so I know I'm moving something else forward when this is done. But I know now, like, okay, there's a fan in the background. It's not a huge deal, and it won't be a period piece. So they'll have fans. I will literally write a movie where there's just fans can exist.
I mean, I'm in.
There you go.
That's all she wanted was fans can exist. I'm in, Mike. Don't even show me a script.
Wonderful.
Well, you do the 15-minute. I do, like, whenever I get like an idea. I don't know if you guys do this. I jot notes down, and I have like notebooks full of just like, okay, this is how I want the scene to work, and I'm like, I don't even know what movie I want this to be in, but this is the whole scene. The characters, I've developed characters and everything, and the scripts, and I freaked Erin out. I was like, I've thrown away full scripts because I hated them, and but I still got the notes, so I have references, I have material, I have the character designs, all that stuff like that. And ironically enough, that comes from me writing comic books to make movies, and I thought that would be comparable, and I was wrong. So wrong.
Well, I imagine a comic book is a lot like a storyboard, though.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I started storyboarding when I realized I had to do some of my own shooting. I realized I need to storyboard, and then Chris Neal would always point out. Chris Neal, by the way, who was in some of Adam's stuff and is plays a role in my story. He was also like my DP, basically, like or PA. Sorry, he was like my PA, and he would point out like you didn't look at the story. Like, you didn't look at it. And it would be times when I'm like, yeah, I forgot that shot. Thank you for telling me to look at the storyboards. And then there'd be times like, yeah, well, we did it anyway. I just knew and had fever dreams about that shot anyway, so I didn't need to look at the storyboard. But yeah, storyboarding. But I would, I grew up on comic books. I was a Marvel guy, but they're down in my basement. I need to dig those things up. But I could see where. Am I right, Paul? Though storyboard, comic book.
Yeah. So many comic book artists have done storyboarding for movies. Yeah. Like the Steve Skrow, who was a Marvel Comics writer or comic artist, he worked on, I think, all three of the Matrix movies as a storyboard artist, and he even did some of the like offshoot comics that they did later. But yeah, storyboard.
Sorry,
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I always used to love to get like Mike's storyboards sent to me. He would send me like the storyboards and be like, "What do you think of this?" And I'm like, these are stick figures and they're awesome. I know exactly what's going on though. Like, it's fantastic.
Like little hearts or something, like and then I try to make you flattering. I try to make you look good, but it'd fail.
Oh, you look. I was adorable. Listen, I was a pretty cute stick figure. I'm not gonna lie.
We gotta. Yeah, I wish I had those here in this room. They would be fun to put up to the screen, but they're downstairs. But yeah, that helped. Storyboarding helped a lot when because I had to take on more than I thought I would in this production, and I think some of that happens, but I think it really happened to me, including acting in it, way more than I thought I would. So yeah. I didn't think I'd play like a significant role. I originally played a different role, and I had to take it over. It just kind of was in the tea leaves that I had to take this bigger role on because of just challenges with the person in it before distance wise and stuff. It just wasn't, and that person being involved with like a lot of other projects. And Adam Clevenger just pulled me aside one time, actually called me, and he's like, "Why don't you just play Slim?" And I'm like, "Because we already shot like 10 pages." And he's like, "Yeah, still, you should play Slim." So it happened, and it's all in the can. So
there you go. When you did the you went from book to script. Did you have people in mind when you created the characters?
Not when I wrote the book. When I wrote the script, I thought, yeah, Erin Ryan, I hope she would play Lily. And Adam Clevenger, please play Sheriff Otis. And Travis, please play Deputy
Zadwick.
Zadwick Dingleberry. And please, but it was one of those things where I think all the characters had a natural fit. The part I had a problem was finding the male protagonist, and I literally went through about 5 people before it fell on me, because it had to get done. We had invested enough time. It wasn't a great amount of time, but it was going to be a huge waste of time if this thing didn't get done. That was what I thought would be the biggest risk. And I'm kind of like that character anyhow. I'm a little twitchy, weird, nervous. So it worked out pretty good, because that's how the character is. It's a guy who gets himself. I know we maybe haven't gotten to that part of the discussion, but it's a story about a guy who gets over his head, and kind of like I did.
Yeah, because you took yourself and self-inserted, and you were able to, and it worked out for you in the long run. And do you find it, I guess, cathartic? Did you ever get any release out of it? Like, that is me.
I think when I wrote the book, I wanted to write a character like myself, with a few hang-ups. And I did. I felt like I identified with the character. And I don't want to, I'm trying to actually frame my answer without spilling too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. For sure, it was kind of cathartic, because, what kind of guy like me doesn't want to be a cowboy and have a romantic interest, and then, kind of BS his way through stuff and kind of get away with it. That's not me. Like, I am not like the kind of guy who just like used car salesman, try to just put on a fake it till you make it thing, and then it works sometimes, or whatever.
See, I'd definitely be one of them guys, like, I'd make a great cowboy, and then I'd be like, actually put in a situation and be a horrible cowboy. I'd just be the absolute worst. Like, yeah.
There's a little bit of that though too. There's a little bit of that with this character. So, but Erin's character was intended to kind of just smooth this out. She's the strong character, and so I thought it would be great if the strong characters in a Western weren't like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody, and then I thought it would be funny if you discovered things about this person that there were hang-ups with their mentality and their physicality. So without spilling a lot,
There you go. Yeah. Because when I was talking to Erin, she said you've been working on this editing for a while. Did you give yourself a deadline that you have to get it? Like, okay, I want this done by insert like October 1st, or do you have yourself a deadline, or just when you get it done, you get it done?
No, I gave myself a deadline. I'm not going to make it, but I wanted to get it done by my birthday. I want to be a birthday present to myself, but and that's October 22nd. But I'm having some stuff going on in my family right now, so I think maybe Thanksgiving present to myself, and that's just to get it in its final form. And then, we want to obviously get to the point where we have a screening or multiple screenings, and send it to a film aggregator, and, stamp out DVDs and all that fun stuff. But I just would love to have a finished form by late fall. Would be great.
So you could drop that Christmas present to yourself.
Yeah, let's go for Christmas present, and maybe even, Martin Luther King Day present. Now that we're at it, Valentine's Day. I love myself. So Valentine's Day,
St. Patrick's Day present.
Arbor Day.
Arbor Day.
Yeah, July 4th's cool too. Fireworks, we shoot fireworks off, and then birthday present to myself
The fun.
the next year.
Do you you're like I said, you're editing. Do you have a rough edit yet, or do you?
What I'm trying to do, actually, and some people might tell me this is not a good idea. I'm trying to get every scene in its almost finished form, and get all the cuts in, get the sound and color mostly worked out, and then just sort of at the end, just pile all those scenes together. But I don't really have a rough cut. I want to know where every cut is. I don't want to have to crunch things together more because we find out we're over 100 minutes or something. If we're over 100 minutes, we're going to be over 100 minutes. There's a lot of stuff that's good in there, and I'm cracking myself up on the daily. I really am. I mean, I send to Erin and Chris and a few close people. I send them something when I got that mostly done scene, and I sent you one earlier today. But that's my style, and I want to kind of go. I'm trying to go in chronological order as much as I can, but I've also edited scenes that I thought to be going to be a problem later. And I went through and I've fixed a bunch of stuff too, because like, for example, there's a scene where, I'm pointing a gun at something and there's like a wall behind it with some, siding on it that looks kind of period appropriate, but there's a UPC code there. So now what do we do? Now I got to go into Adobe Premiere and I got to take a slice out of it and pull it down, and cover that whole thing and then frame it, mask it, and then make it track. And then that's what we did today, guys. We fixed that 3 seconds.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize about editing or filming movies, because 3 seconds or a second even can screw things up bad. Even if you're like, there's a watch or there's somebody walking through the background. You're like,
yeah.
Really?
Well, what I did in one case, and actually scene 5, I sent you a copy of scene 5 for you to look at it, your amusement, or if you wanted to share it here today, it'd be fine. Whatever you want to do, it's your show. Yeah. But one of the characters, Travis, I didn't think about this. This is on me. He had modern glasses, with plastic frames. And I'm like, hey, when are you going to take your glasses off? And he's like, I can't take my glasses off. And I can't see. I'm going to trip over stuff. I'm like, all right. And we're going to write jokes about your glasses that are going to have to occur like throughout the movie. And I got that one ace in my sleeve. And I can't really go there again with something else that popped up, like an extension cord or something. So, but I know there's a lot of times where I have one thing, that I could kind of, okay, we're going to draw attention to that because it's a goofy movie. And we'll, why are you wearing that glasses? Those glasses aren't period appropriate, so then there you go. Now we called it out and no one can poop on me in the comment section because I called it out. Okay. But anyhow, yeah. Well, a lot of things to fix like that.
Do you find, having worked in stand-up and doing comedy, working on this movie, do you find that helps you or hinders you?
Oh, no, that's I wouldn't have done this movie if I never did. If I never wrote jokes, this movie would not have the story that it does. And the next movie won't have the story that it does. So, and I'll never do anything that isn't a comedy. I won't. I mean, unless there's something I can't tell about myself in the future, I'll never work on anything that isn't funny. I just think humor is too important in the world. We all need it.
No, heck
yeah.
I know that I've talked to a lot of people and they say comedy is probably the hardest thing to write and direct, and you're doing that as your first. That's great.
I actually don't have a hard time with the writing. I mean, I'm trying to do as many, in comedy, there's what you would call laughs per minute. You should be getting 4 laughs per minute. Your jokes should get scrunched down to the point where you're getting a laugh every 15 seconds, but really more. Like you can have a 20-second setup and then a tag, they call it, where you do this joke and a punchline, and then another punchline, and that punchline. So you get like 3 laughs in like 30 seconds, right? Then you set up the next one, you get 3 more laughs. So I always tried to, with this movie, the goal, which I never achieved, and I would never, um, try to even insinuate that I was in the same universe as the Zucker brothers. But Police Squad, when I was growing up, not Naked Gun as much. They kind of Hollywoodized Naked Gun, but the half an hour, 22-minute episodes, that was the. If I told anybody like a dying wish, what do you want anybody to do? I'd be like, watch those 6 episodes that never made it past the pilots. Did it with the first season? Never made it. It was too weird, but too beautiful.
It was rapid fire too.
Rapid fire, yeah. Now gags per minute, and they had a budget. I have a micro budget over here, so most of my gags have to be goofy Easter eggs somewhere that you see on screen or dialogue based. And I tried to. I'm looking at it as I'm cutting the stuff up, and I'm thinking I'm getting there. There's parts of it that would be what I consider a little thin. I wish there was something else we could pull off, but I think Erin knows. She knows the story. I mean, I think I've got enough stuff in there to keep people amused.
For sure. Yeah, there's a lot. I remember reading it and at first and being like, oh, there's a lot of really random, seemingly random little things in here that I hope people catch, because I think they're really clever. I'm trying not to give anything away, but I hope that people, get it's just the magnitude of everything. There's a lot of stuff in there, like a lot of really funny little things that I hope people pick up on through the dialogue and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I've shown the first scene to you and a few other people, and I've said, did you notice that we messed up the continuity? I won't give away too much, but we messed up the continuity on purpose there. And a lot of people are like, no. And I'm like, dang, I was hoping you'd notice that was a purposeful screw up that we did 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
With this.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people will notice it, and then wonder if it was on purpose or not. And then good. I would like to have, my goal would be to something where people go, can you pause that?
Like, what was that?
Yeah.
You can do one of those numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. That's kind of fun. That's different. It's a different experience.
Do you workshop the bits, like to see if you think other people think they're funny, or
no?
Just run with it.
No, I just run with it, and I don't. It's yeah. I guess. No, I don't. I mean, I think I just talked to Erin about a story I'd like to write in the future, and but it was big stuff from 30,000 feet, and it wasn't the dialogue. I know that I'll be able to write some dialogue that I think will make this story funny, but I had the general story laid out. But no, I really don't. And I never did. When I do comedy, I don't. There's something that I know it's either going to be funny or not, and then the beta test is, do people laugh? And one of the things that's really hard about film is you got to have it all done before. However, there's times when I've had people crack up on set and it's ruined takes. Then that's funny, right? So there's a scene with Travis Hatch and Todd the Fox, and literally I could feel people shaking beside me because they were trying to stifle laughter, and then we all just busted out and the whole take got ruined, and it was going to get ruined anyway because he was riffing too much, and he cussed too much, and I didn't want that as part of it. But I could tell that part was funny, But no, I don't actually workshop anything.
I always, that's one thing that certain things I will find funny. Like, we've had people talking about, like, at my shop, they're like, oh, you should do a show about your shop, and they're like, you guys are hilarious here. And I'm like, but would we be funny anywhere other than here? I mean, this is hilarious here, but if you took us out of this situation, would it be funny? And everybody's like, well, I don't know. I was like, that's why we don't do comedy at the shop, I guess.
I think I think, Mike, I think your writing is pretty evident. It's pretty evident what you're trying to do. Like your humor is really pretty well developed in there. Like whenever I would read, when I read the script, I was like, okay, I get this. There really wasn't anything that you had to explain to me at all. I was like, okay, I understand where this is coming from. So that's always good.
I
See,
think the funny thing is that you at first were thinking, you know what? I don't know if I can be funny. And I
Yeah,
think I told you, like, well, that's not on you to be funny. You know what I mean? It's really,
right.
if you're not funny, that's my fault. You know what I mean? So
I,
if you're not funny, and I tell you that scene I sent you, I thought the way you crisply delivered the lines with a deadpan nature, I'm like, that's good. Like I just knew that's what I
thank
loved
you.
about Police Squad so
Yeah.
much. One of my favorite lines in Police Squad was Leslie Nielsen. Just like they showed up in this. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk too much about Police Squad. I just love it so much.
100%. Run with it.
But like Leslie Neal, they show up and this woman is inconsolable because her husband just died, and the one, geez, this sounds a lot like the Adam Clevenger scene, but he's like, I'm sorry, we came here so late, and then Leslie Nielsen would have come earlier, but your husband wasn't dead yet. So it's like, and she's like crying, and it's like that's funny that like your husband wasn't dead yet. Like, of course they wouldn't come because your husband wasn't dead. It just to me that's that kind of stuff. Just deadpan delivery is just funny, and you did it. You pulled
Oh,
it up.
thanks.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. I thought, okay, like this is the character. This is what she means, what she says.
Yeah,
So like, I guess, and when having talked to you about it too, like you explained that, and that really helped me a lot. Like it clicked when you said that. Just trust the writing, the script, and be the character. So,
yeah, yeah. It's really not. It's not your fault if people don't laugh. It's not your fault. You
oh,
know.
thank you.
Yeah. I feel like Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting or wherever it is. It's not your
Oh,
fault.
it's not your fault.
It's not your
That
fault.
scene gets me still.
Yeah.
So
It's
good.
it's one of those ones where I've read scripts for the years, and there used to be a guy who used to always sit up next to me at Comic Cons back in the day, and he'd always have like early versions of scripts, movies that didn't get made, whatever. One of the funniest scripts I've ever read was Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2. And I laughed at the script. And, other scripts are kind of dry, and it's the delivery and stuff like that. And I think I've had people like, oh, I've tried to read these scripts and they just weren't funny. And I'm like, did you do them out loud? Did you do them with another person? Did you? It's like because you got to get that. I think interaction, but if you got a good solid script and you can make the characters your characters and get the people that this is weird. I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. If you can make both the character your character and the actor's character, then you've got it, I guess. That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah. I think what can happen is a really good actor can juice up something that's funny and make it a lot funnier.
Yeah.
So there's this scene where the Sheriff Otis character, like he points, like, did you something? I don't want to spill, like,
Yeah.
this. Actually, it's in that scene I sent you. And it reminded me of the Seinfeld gets visited by the guy from the library who kind of acting like a detective. And every line he's pointing at the guy, like, da, 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 da. And it was just like the point. And they showed the script. That was like on Instagram reel or something. And it was in the script, like points. So even then, that like thing about like, just raking Jerry over the coals over about a overdue library book, but it's kind of put together like a detective grilling a guy. Like somebody knew that point would be like, the actor would make the difference there.
Oh,
They
yeah.
might have written that around that particular actor. I don't remember his name. Dang it. It was a guest on Seinfeld, and it was, sorry.
You're all good. You're all good.
Yeah.
It's you don't have to apologize for nothing on this show. We don't. we are. I like doing these shows because it's just conversations for the most part. So we can talk about everything. But you're like I said, you're making movies. Are you still acting in other people's movies, or are you working on your movie more than you're doing anything else now?
I'm actually really I'm trying not to get do jokes on stage as much as anymore. I'm trying to really focus on getting this movie done. And I think my next time when I'll tell jokes is in September even. And I haven't been approached about any roles in anything, and I'm not looking or anything. I think when I get this movie done, I might even do the narcissistic thing where I make a reel of myself and just put it out there. Um, and I'm interested. It's just that I literally need to buckle down and get this thing done. So I'm kind of almost relieved that I don't have much interest in either other avenue. I could always try to just reach out more or reach out at all and try to, and I will but right now I owe everybody who spent so much time and effort and put so much good work into this. I feel like I'm running for office right now saying this, but I really owe it to everybody to get it done. And if elected,
I would bring to you. Yeah. Well, I have to ask, how do you go from being a teacher to stand-up comedian, actor, now director?
Okay, well, it's not as convoluted as it sounds. I started teaching at a community college chemistry classes when I was 25 years old. And I also like telling jokes, and I would sneak jokes in. I'd get a reaction. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I am crushing it up here, and they're a sober audience. What if they, were drinking?
Had a couple of drinks in them.
So I finally got the guts like 15 years later when I was like 40 to get up there and do stand up. And then, so what happened is I was doing stand up in a coffee shop in Oakwood, and which was fun. And then Henrik Kudo was there, and he liked a few of my jokes, and he reached out to me, and I think he might have needed someone a little older. And then he messaged me, and we became friends, and he asked me if I would, he said, I'm writing a role for you if you want it in his first, no, it wasn't his first movie. His third movie, Depression the Movie.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of, as Henrik started trying to stamp out, he was really prolific during that time, and he wasn't doing the podcasting he's doing now. So he was like laser focused on film. And so then I met Erin because of Babysitter Massacre, which I think was the second thing, and then Bulldog, and then I forget, but there's a whole other one. And then you get into offshoots where Adam Clevenger, People to Kill, Erin had a major role in that. And then Adam introduced me to the guys in Columbus, the I-71 movies guys. So it just kind of, kept going, but a
lot of networking, even if it's unintentional, that's how it works. I feel like
we talked about that the other day, how you don't realize how small, but how big the local indie film community is. I didn't realize it until I started talking to people out of state, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know them. Oh, I've worked with them. I'm like, you live in Nevada. How the hell did you work with people in Dayton?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we did." I'm like, "Oh shit, okay."
Yeah, it's bigger than you think it is. It's kind of everywhere. It's kind of interesting.
Oh yeah.
To me, I'm kind of new at this, and I'm very movie dumb. So I'm kind of, I'm never, I guess I'm too hyper to sit down and watch like 3 movies in a row. So but I think I discover something new, and then I find out everybody knows about it. So I'm like, what really, helped me in my morale, wondering, okay, is this scene too phony? And then what does it add to the story? Are they going to tap out on me? And then I watch like Velocipaster, and I'm like, this is the best thing ever. And, I know that there's some special effects that aren't quite perfect in that. And I'm like, this is just such a good story that, and I ask, hey, do you ever watch it? I'm like, yeah, I watched that. And then all my people that I met in film, they've all watched Velocipaster, and even including some people that aren't film people.
Yep.
So that just shows me that like there's a lot of support. And I think the budget for that movie was like in the like $35,000 range or something, if you look it up.
No,
But
that's crazy low.
love that movie.
Exciting to find other weirdos. Like people that are so excited about the weird stuff that you like. You're like, this is not mainstream at all. I shouldn't tell anybody I like this, but you love it, and you're like, oh, you like it too. I feel less alone. Like it's just, I don't know. It's a joy. There's a joy there.
I think they can take chances. Independent
Yeah.
filmmakers can take chances. They don't have to be beholden to some focus group, right? And they have to
Right.
worry about like tap dancing over certain issues or being safe. They can do whatever they want. And I think that's what attracts me to it so much, is that not having, look, I had 30 years of people telling me what I could do, and I still have people telling me what I should do. But, it's kind of nice to say, in this little sliver of my life, I'm going to try this. And, and I'm not like trying to swing for the home run fence. I'm just trying to do something different that I don't think anybody's done. And then people will appreciate that. I hope with what we stamp out eventually. I hope they think that was different.
Yeah. Creativity. Just, an offshoot of something, kind of neat. I don't know.
Yeah. It's, you're not beholden to any, you don't have to worry about, finance, your production, your studio is not going to come in and tell you can't do this, it's yours. And, it's like, oh, it's a sandbox movie. I can do whatever, but it's your sandbox that you're playing in, but you can still do whatever. And, and we've had this discussion before. I've had this discussion with a lot of independent filmmakers. Big budget movies are stuck because they're usually films by committee. So they have to go through. I mean, I've legit been a focus group on movies, and that's crazy that just random ass people can tell you that, oh, that movie don't work, and they're like, oh yeah, take that out. I'm like, dude, but you make your movie. You don't have to be no focus groups. You don't have to go. Yeah, you can probably go to like a send it to a con or something, to a film festival, and people are like, oh, I loved everything, but that one little piece, and then you're like, you watch it back and you're like, yeah, we could do without that, or we could tweak that a little bit and you can just move it. But you don't have to worry about the studio going, well, we ran it past a bunch of people and we don't like that. But that's the funny scene. Well, it doesn't work. It does work. Just shut up. you got a bunch of 12-year-olds to watch it. Shut up.
You want to ask the people who will eventually appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like who know what's going on, who know what's up. Yeah, that's unfortunate that happens sometimes.
I think with Big Trouble, I kind of like. I went on a tour with the script and visited all the actors. Or Erin and I had a drink at a Mexican grocery store, and then I went to so and so. I went on a tour of all the main people I wanted to use in the cast, and I thought I got a good read from that, and I thought that was kind of like my focus group, so they were kind of like, and then I got some negative feedback, like, yeah, I don't like this part because, and I don't, and they'll, like, I don't want to say too much, but like, yeah, I don't know if I think it's right for me to do this part, but we could switch it a little bit, and then, like, okay, yeah, you know what, that's good feedback. And so, but mostly it was like, yeah, I'm in, because we're coming out of the pandemic, and we need something that's really not too serious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, this is what I've said this 1,000 times before. Indie films and independent films have heart behind them, where a lot of big budget movies don't. And you can tell. Even, I've watched movies that you can obviously tell these guys filmed that sucker in a weekend on, their budget was beer and pizza, but they love doing what they did. Their friends are having a blast. They're having a blast. And like, yeah, it's not the best movie, but it's a fun movie and you can enjoy it. And, I've watched 1,000 independent movies, cheesy, low budget, no budget, whatever you name it. I would watch them 1,000 times before I'd watch Titanic again once.
I have theories about the ending of Titanic. Now this is the chemist in me, okay?
Okay.
Because Leonardo DiCaprio is in like freezing cold water,
Yeah.
right? And he delivers this beautiful monologue,
Should not be able to do it.
and it would be like in actual like the amount of heat that water can suck out of you at that temperature. His monologue should have been.
Yeah, like that. Well, one of my good friends was like, he's a history buff. He's like, yeah, Jack would have never been allowed to come up onto the upper decks because there was a cholera outbreak at that moment. So he definitely would not have been able to up there because he would have been stuck in the lower decks because that's where the people who could have been carrying cholera would have been. And I'm like, it's a movie, dude. I
Yeah.
love Star Wars and they make noise in space. So
No pun intended, but I feel like I kind of missed the boat with Titanic because I didn't see it until recently. I don't know what I was doing in the 90s, but I did not see it until like a couple years ago.
I
Isn't that weird? Totally odd.
it, you didn't miss out till recently, I
Yeah,
guess.
I mean,
I,
I,
I mean, I'm a chemistry teacher who's had cancer. I still haven't watched more than season 1 of Breaking Bad.
oh yeah.
I'm going
I've
to
never
catch up on
finished
that.
Mm,
Yeah.
I've never been able to get. Everybody tells me you got to get past season 1 to get into season 2, and that's where it gets good. I'm like,
Mhm.
it didn't catch me in season 1. I can't do this.
Mhm.
So
It caught me, but I could tell it was gonna take some. It was gonna get dark. I could tell it was getting
Yeah.
dark, and I think I was afraid, and that's why I haven't pursued it. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm going down a rabbit hole over here.
It's a hell of a show. It's a hell of
I'll
a
get
show.
there. I'll get there.
Yeah, it's good. It's really well acted, and I don't know, it's wonderful. But you do have to like be in a good place, I think. I think you should be in a good place to watch it because yikes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yikes.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. It's just recently I started going back, and I'm like, I've been staring at this TV show. Oh, it came out in 2020. Oh, that's 4 years ago. I need to watch this.
Yeah.
I finally started watching, but then I'm horrible because I am a OCD guy, so I will go back and rewatch a show that I've watched 1,000 times before.
If it makes you if it comforts you in some way watching it again. But I did have a problem with the bathtub in Breaking Bad and the mercury fulminated mercury. Okay, so like hydrofluoric acid can't dissolve a body. That's another one.
Yeah.
Also, it won't make a bathtub fall through ceramic floor. And then I'm sorry, this is terrible. I'll shut up.
No, I love it.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah,
How
you
about
can't
it? Yeah.
pick something up that's explosive and then go wing and then bang and then doesn't blow up in your hand already if it's shock explosive.
Oh yeah.
But I'm still watching it. So you can't make everything perfect. So I should shut up. Look at when you see what I did, you'll probably be like, "Well, hey." So hey,
You can't take yourself seriously. It's one of them ones where you got to have fun doing what you're doing because it's as soon as it becomes a job, it's no longer fun and it sucks.
True.
But so I got to ask this now because we're talking about. Did you always wanted to be a teacher, or did you? What did you want to be when you were growing up?
I was okay. So first of all, I was really aimless growing up. I was not a good student at all, and I just didn't have. I procrastinated a lot. I still do procrastinate too much, but wasn't driven. And when I was 16 and 17, I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it kind of woke me up and made me apply myself. So I tried really hard at school, and I didn't get any colleges. So I went to a community college, and I went and I became, I went to school for chemistry, and I ended up getting my accepted into a PhD program, but then it was a toxic environment. I just kind of got out with my master's, and I took a chance. I interviewed for industrial jobs, and they all kind of suck. So there's slave labor exists for chemists. Like there's bad, like go hook yourself to this part of the bench and go run tests all day kind of stuff. So I was kind of good with people, and the community college I went to, this guy suddenly retired older guy, and I filled in and took a lot of his hours. And then just not knowing a single soul, I put my resume out all over the country, and this place in Dayton took a chance hiring me, and I moved out here not knowing a soul. And so I did. That was my home for the last 30 years, and I spent more than half my life there. And I'm probably going to be there a little bit in the fall, but I didn't really see me being a teacher, but I liked helping people. And, I felt like for a guy who could do the, I don't know which side of the brain it is because I keep forgetting, but the math and science stuff, I could look at a person's face and read them a little bit. So I had a little bit of ability to read a person, and I thought that made me helpful. And I think it was successful for me. But yeah, I just kind of fell into it. And I think it played into some of the things that I do okay. And, but being tied to a bench in a lab was not going to work for me. Not at all.
That sounds awful.
It can be, so it was, just, running tests all day, looking at data all day, and it wasn't my thing. And research, didn't like research. Lots of failure. I'll try this. I'll try that. Oh, didn't work. So, you're trying to do something that no one in the world has ever done. Oh, dang. Maybe I'll just write a movie where a guy has plastic glasses and then,
from chemistry teacher to director.
Yeah. So, but actually directing was kind of like being a teacher in some ways. You do have to kind of line people up, and you kind of got to make sure everybody's in there. Got to do a lot of tasks, make sure, people are, I think directing probably used the little talent I have more than acting does. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm a very strong actor. I just think that, I think that was kind of a good fit for me anyhow.
So how, you managed, where did you come from before Dayton?
Binghamton, New York is where I grew up. I actually grew up in the sticks of, it's actually Appalachia. If you look at the Appalachia, the map,
yeah,
it extended to upstate New York for a reason, trust me. So it's one of those things. So I'm a hillbilly, 10 hours away. I'm going up there tomorrow, actually. But Binghamton, New York. And I felt like Dayton, Ohio was close enough, 10-hour drive.
Yeah, that's not horrible. Not horrible. Yeah. But it's just, like I said, it's one of them cool things to be able to watch somebody go and be able to like, okay, you know what? This is what I want to do now. I'm doing comedy. I'm doing this, leaving the teaching behind, and semi-retiring in your early 50s, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you're close. I'm in my mid 50s. I'm 55. Okay. So
you're 5 years older than me, so
yeah, it's 50s is the new 20s, they say, with body pain.
Hey, I am healthier now than I was at 25, so it's but you, like I said, I've listened to your comedy. You've got the chops on the comedy, the being able to parlay that into acting, being comedy, and then doing the directing, and that's just amazing. That is so killer to be able to maneuver from that and that from.
Well, I think one thing you could add is that I really didn't do any of those things well.
You do any of those things well.
You really don't think you're a good actor?
I think I have a unique looking face, and I can make a grimace, and it's funny. I could be like, "What are those guys doing? They're being mean to us."
Really, I had no problem acting opposite you. I think it was really fun. You got a lot of energy, which is good to play off of, especially in comedy. So,
I don't know. I think I have a hard time like looking at myself and thinking anything I can do is all that great. But I don't know. Maybe, but I don't have. I don't know. I don't know. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean it. You have a lot of like really good energy, and it helps me. Like I try to match it, and I think that works. So I don't know.
There was one part I cracked up. I cracked you up because I was on a horse, and I said action, and it just seemed so silly that I'm saying action, and I'm on a horse, and I'm going to ride off from you, and I'm like, action. I'm like, it just struck me as funny. And it was,
What?
I don't think I'm spilling any of this, the storyline when I'm
No.
riding away from you.
Yeah.
I'm looking back and I'm staring at you, and then the horse kind of going this way, and I go like this, and I'm looking back at you.
I know, you're like,
Trying to laser focus on you, and I could see you as I'm bouncing, but I can see, and you're not in frame really, so I can
no,
see you're cracking up.
but
And
you're
that was,
looking so like the expression I remember, it looks like panic. I don't think you're trying to panic, but you're just like, huh, like it's very funny.
we
Like,
had we cracked up a lot on that, on those things, and we had so many locations too. It was kind of a real blessing because we bounced around a lot, and we had to. But the horse day was pretty fun, you know, and I think that was we did what we needed to do there that day. And you know, you weren't at all the locations because of your character, but it was
sadly, yeah.
I thought we had some pretty good locations for such a sensitive kind of time period. You know,
Yeah.
I think we pulled off a lot of them, and I think everybody at those locations were really good to me. And you know, there was Oaks Quarry where it's a park, you know, but there's two guys fiddling on a cliff up there, you know, and I'm like, when do they take a break? Turns out never. They never take a break from
Never,
dual fiddling. So we went behind a cliff, and we actually blocked a lot of the sound that way, but doesn't come through in the footage at all.
Oh, that's good.
Well, depends on what kind of fiddling they're doing. It would have been perfect if they were
It
doing.
was actually not fiddling. It was more like violin. It was more like these guys were, you know,
Classic.
band kids or whatever. Yeah, classical violining, and then there's a drone flying over us, and it's like zzz, that take got ruined, and I flipped it off. Is probably why it didn't come back again. But it's kind of like, hey,
They're like unfriendly.
yeah, they figured out that we were doing something, you know.
I've been going back and rewatching a bunch of, you know, I've watched a bunch of Erin's movies lately because I did an interview with her, and I've been watching some of your, and you do have, and I don't mean this, but you have a really good face for acting and comedy because you do have the good emotion. You're like,
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah, I have. I don't know what it is, but I have something. And even like when I've told jokes, I would freeze after a punchline, and I've heard multiple times, you know, and I'll be just here like, you know, and then like his face. Someone will be like his face, and I think I just have a, you know, I guess I can. The funny thing is, I took a lighting and cinematography class, and one of the things was that you have a partner, and I have this like beautiful Russian woman. I like, yeah, I got like this. So I had to, which means I did good on my assignment because I'm like, I screw up there. But then her assignment was to shoot me, and I just made this face that like the lighting was perfect, you know, the lighting scheme she had picked out, but I just had like, I flipped into that goofy look, which is kind of more like. And I just froze there. I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to make a joke out of everything. Let's do that one over. And she's like, no, we're gonna keep that one, you know. So then I got copies of it, and that's like my LinkedIn face profile is like LinkedIn. It's like it's creepy.
So good.
It is the creepy frozen face look, and I did it on LinkedIn on purpose because I don't want anybody like approaching me, you know, asking me to put my resume in somewhere or something. And then, you know, everybody on LinkedIn is so schmoozy anyway. You know, I thought it would be cool to put the creepy picture there. But yeah, I can look creepy.
It sets you apart, though.
yeah,
For sure.
Yes,
I think you're the only person that I've ever met, I've even talked to, who's used LinkedIn.
You're not missing anything.
I was like, I've back when I was in management, they're like, "Are you on LinkedIn?" I'm like, "No." Well, you should be. You know, you can get. I'm like, "Nah, I'm good."
Here's LinkedIn. Here's LinkedIn. I'm happy to say that I've now accepted the position of blanky blank. Oh, so well deserved, sir. Just like a sucker fish up on a tank, like where
Yeah.
someone's behind.
Yeah, you see, hanging out on the side of the tank. There you go.
However, I do think it's good for creative types too. I hear a lot about people connecting on LinkedIn for film stuff or whatever too, but it's mostly business type people. It's demoralizing.
See, I just got people now that are like, "Oh man, I watched your show. You want to come over to here?" I'm like, I guess. I had somebody like, "Oh, we're filming. We want you to be in the movie." I'm like, "Okay." And they're like, "How far are you?" They're like, "We're not far." And I'm like, that's 12 hours away. That's far.
It's a long time away.
Yes.
Half a day.
Or I'm doing tomorrow. Going to, yep. But that is a lot. And I do appreciate people who do comedy or film and travel great distances like that. That's tough. That's really tough.
100%, especially because so many people, and it's funny because doing this show, and I've done, and there's only a handful of people that this acting is their job. Just they travel around, they make enough money to live on. They don't have kids. They live pretty basic, and acting can pay that. And then I've got ones that are like, oh yeah, we gotta, I get off work at 5, so I have to haul ass, 3 hours to be on set so I can film a night set and do from 8 o'clock till 7 o'clock the next morning. Then I go home, sleep for a couple hours, and then go back to work the next day. I'm like, you're a crazy person. That's what that is.
I remember one time I would go down, like when I was really motivated about doing stand-up before the film days, I would be like, okay, they just answered my email. I'm going to do a showcase for a guy who books shows down at the Comedy Caravan in Louisville. The showcase show is Thursday at 10:15. So, hey, did they answer your email? Oh, my buddy and I are going to go together. Okay, cool. Let's carpool. So we'll go down there. I'll get out of work at 5. We'll go catch the 10:15 show. We'll get back around 3 in the morning. I got an 8 o'clock lab the next day. And it would be like, yeah, I'm a little hungover, but yeah, it's cool. Nowadays I couldn't even think of that. I'd need to decompress for a whole week straight. I need to lay in bed or something. I don't know. It's funny. If you have, I could see where my energy in my 40s isn't what it is in the 50s anymore. I got to be very protective of my, self.
Yeah. It's, going from like I said, you went from being, daily grind, working at I guess, not factory now because you're working at a school. You'd bust your butt, go do this, run around, go do this, go do that, go do that. Now you're like, I'm chill. I'm just making this movie now. It's easier now. It's all me. You're just like, you found your groove is what you're at right now, and that's amazing to be able to do that. Anybody being able to find their groove and just like, yeah, that's what I like right there.
You know what? I'm glad I don't play golf. I'm sorry. It seems like a waste of time. You know what I mean? I'm sorry if any of your listeners love golf. If you do, then do what you like. But I'm thinking
this is a more interesting hobby.
Yeah, and golf is expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
And the thing that's amazing to me now that I'm in the editing phase, and that it's different than watching it like sitting behind a camera or on a in a scene. The stuff I wrote is being said by people. And it's this weird, strange thing where you feel like a sociopath in a way. Like I made those people say that, like they're
like puppeteering,
meat puppets,
Yeah.
So it's just amazing though to think that line I wrote is something I came up with my head. Now Erin saying it to Adam or something, and I'm like, looking at it on a screen, in the timeline of, an editing timeline, I'm like, this is amazing that I'm watching this.
You're like, I am a god.
It's like, it feels like, yeah, it's almost like this is the most godlike thing I could do, is that, and that's new to me because it used to be, me go, show up, say lines. It's on it's in the movie. I didn't come up with the lines. I just kind of said them. Or me come up with jokes and I say them and maybe they're on a recording or maybe there's a video of it. But just having someone else say what you wrote is just such a neat transformation. I'm really amazed by it. And the fact that you guys did such a great job with all that stuff.
Oh,
I'm
thank
so extra tickled with it, and I
you.
routinely am cracking up. Like, and usually what I do is it goes like this. Oh my god, it's so good. It's what I say to myself. It's so good. So I can't wait, and I hope people feel the same way I do. It might be that I just feel like it because it's my own baby, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but I hope everybody gets a fraction of what I'm getting out of it right now. If I can just get this thing done.
Are you surprised? Like with
Yeah.
how well? Okay, that's awesome.
No, I'm surprised. You mean, okay, sorry, I'll let you finish. What did you mean by surprised?
Oh, I meant like surprised with how well it's turning out and how often you're laughing. And are you like pleased with that or?
Well, there's problems sometimes, and some
Sure.
are
Yeah,
insurmountable. So there's a problem where in one scene, I'll use some specific examples, and I think I can work with these problems. And someone will be like, "Yeah, that's a mistake," and I'm like, "Hey, we ain't getting it all. We ain't gonna be like, hey, let's go down to Williamsburg and film it all over. It ain't happening."
right, right.
So there's a problem like where you go in and out of focus on
Mhm.
one scene, but I cut it in such a way that you're out of focus and then in focus. So it looks like we're racking a focus to your face, but we weren't doing that at all. You know,
Gotcha. Yeah.
there's a scene where there's a bunch of noises and the character's trying to fall asleep in the desert. And, there's the typical noises in it. I cracked myself up with this. The camera shakes, you know, and I thought that's a screw up. I can't use that take. Well, actually, I put in so many noises that it looks like the earth's shaking, and then I cut away from that. So I'm surprised how much I can pull off covering up mistakes.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely surprised with how well it plays out when you cut it together. I'm really surprised, and that's basically due to lack of experience. I'm sure that that's something that every person who writes writes a movie probably experiences, but it's just new for me.
We were just talking about how like filming, basically filming is solving problems all day long. If you're like crew or the director, like there's always something going on. So it's
Yeah.
just problem after problem after problem, solution, solution, solution. So I guess that's continuing in editing too, obviously. It's like, oh no, more
A lot
more
of this,
solutions. Where are they?
a lot of this being a comedy is going to help. If this was a
Mhm.
really, really serious movie, I'd be really screwed.
Right.
The fact that we can kind of come up with ways to, like the glasses thing, we wrote
Mhm.
in a few jokes, and then and we break the fourth wall. I'm not spoiling anything when we say we break the fourth wall in this movie. So we can address things where we say it's modern and we know it's modern. So for example, in your scene, I'm about to launch a hefty monologue, and
Yeah.
so it's like, it's one of those things where that's a gift, because like if it was a serious movie, you can't be just saying this got screwed up and now we have to fix it.
Right.
Do
Yeah.
you guys know if the coconuts in Monty Python, the Holy Grail, were actually part of the original plan, or was that it's rumored that they weren't?
Really? I don't know.
Someone told me once that they wanted to use horses and coconuts was plan B, but I could be wrong. Some of your
that
listeners probably know for sure.
well, I could see that being a plan B because I
There was
mean,
a lot of rugged terrain in that movie.
yeah, but I have to ask because you know this is definitely a working in a comedy question. I have to. Did you go back in editing, have a joke that you thought didn't land right, but when you edited it, it landed perfectly? And did you have one that went the other way, one that you thought nailed it, and then when you were editing it, you realized it didn't land the way you had planned?
Well, there was first of all, I don't know, because I don't know if anybody's going to laugh yet. So when we screen this thing and we sit everybody in a theater and we hear laughter, then I'll know. You know what I mean? And I've shopped some things out, like, hey, I cut the scene together. I'll send it to Erin or Chris or somebody, and they'll be like, yeah, that was good. But it's not the same when you're messaging someone. You don't really get to see what the reaction is and whatever. But there's been times when I've had to use a take where the joke was better delivered, and without spilling too much, there was some improv. I didn't pound my fist a lot on set. There'd be times when I'm like, hey, you can't do this because blank. But I really kind of wanted to let people run a little bit if they wanted to riff.
Mm-hmm.
And there was times when one actor would be riffing a little too much. And I thought, well, geez, you kind of spoiled the joke there because it's all about deliver this line, that line. And you said this extra thing that wasn't really in the script, but you were just ad-libbing a little bit. So I fixed that by saying, well, we're not using that take. And then, oh, darn, he does it every time. So then, like, I've actually used a one take where that didn't happen. So, yeah, I fixed some stuff to suit me, but maybe I should have left it the other way in the other takes. And you just never know, right? I mean, how do you know until you'd have to make 18 different movies with the different variations and then put them in front of people and see what they like, and
Right.
humor is extremely, subjective. Like what's funny to some people isn't funny to others,
See, that's one thing I always wondered about. If when you're putting together something, especially when you're editing, do you like go get somebody or somebody go, hey, does this joke land? Does this or do you send it off to some friends to see if
No. Yeah, I mean, but it's one of those things like I used to go to writers group as a stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that what you do is you go in there and you tell your joke and it's in front of a bunch of comics and they're already competitive as it is. So you would think stand-up comedians are not competitive. No, they are extremely insecure people, myself included, and insecurities lead to wanting to undermine people or think that your version of their joke is better.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up going into this thing. It's probably like a Hollywood focus group. It is probably exactly like it, where you go in with this joke and they're like, nah, I like it this way. And then you come out with some sort of mixture of everybody else's joke. And I never liked that process. I always write everything that was a joke. I write it in complete isolation. I usually have something come to me. I'll go for a run and they'll pop into my head. Maybe blood flow is a thing. I don't know. But then there's times when I've been wrong. There's times when I've had jokes that are just, yeah, it was not good, but there's been times when I've thought, yeah, that's probably going to work. And it does, so I don't know if I even answered your question, but I don't really bounce stuff a lot anymore.
Oh, see, yeah,
but I'm so lonely in this editing process. I've sent Erin so much stuff. She's probably like, oh, here's another clip from Mike. It's like,
no, I want to know. I want to help if I can. I know editing is a lonely process. Like I know it is, and I feel bad because I told you the other day, I was like, I wish I was familiar with that stuff so I could help, but I don't know.
No,
then
it's all good. It's all good. Just being there for that is great. And I didn't show you how good you look in the poster. Do you see?
Oh boy.
Can you see?
Aw, that's me.
Yeah. Well, you saw it at the wrap party, but I wanted to show Paul too.
That's awesome.
Okay. I got to get all close. Oh, that's my face. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Sorry. I know I'm in a rocking chair. Oh, dang, there's my hard drive.
There it is.
Yeah, my hard drive. That's my whole.
Knocking everything over there.
No, it's solid state. It should be good. But I'm checking the hell out of it later. Don't get me wrong.
I appreciate you. That looks awesome.
I got to ask Erin for this one. Did you learn how to hold a gun in this one?
Yeah, I think so. I think I did pretty well.
Let me think.
Shit after.
I know.
Yeah.
No, yeah, she held a gun just fine. Yeah, I know the exact scene, but she held a gun just fine. But it was an extreme close up. But
no, I gave her crap the other day because I had just rewatched Calamity Jane, and I'm sitting there going, was that a decision with the way she held the gun because it was so awkward? And so I had to ask her. She's like, nope, that's just me holding it awkwardly. No. I'm like,
that's just me not knowing how to do it.
Well, the only thing I think is maybe some gun nuts might notice that.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, she definitely held a gun for a very short period of time in the story, and she did it fine. And we actually shot that just close by to the wrap party. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yep.
We ducked into the woods, and I'm like, let's just do this one.
Yeah, you're like, this is an insert. Let's just do it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and I coached you a lot on that, and then you did the recoil and everything. It was great.
Yeah, good. I'm glad it turned out well
Yeah, and that was a fix-it thing because you have to put a muzzle flash in there, and you have to do.
Yeah. So I really want to rectify. I want to do a movie where I have to use a gun, and I do it well. I would really, really like to, just so I could prove it
Calamity
to myself that
Jane's
I can do
Revenge
it.
2.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, when things settle down and I have to go because a lot of people owed me money, so I end up with guns over money, which I really should have took the money. But you can fire all the guns I have, and you can yes, you
Oh
can.
Lord.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot, but yeah, there's just pistols and shotguns and rifles and all that funness that you can learn how to shoot.
Okay.
So
All right.
yes, yes,
That sounds
and
good.
yeah, because I got to teach Tina how to shoot the new guns too. So that's I can just double down, two people. There you
Well, I just want to learn, I just want it to be accurate.
go. Yeah,
Next time I can't believe I didn't do my own research on that. I don't know where that, like, I just thought I could do it. Like, that's crazy.
it's you know you weren't comfortable and it was but no I just got to give you crap. It's fine. That's
No,
fun.
I love it. That's good. I did notice it also.
But you know, like I said, it is really cool being connected with this whole Dayton area independent film thing. Even if I'm on the periphery, it's fun to watch all these people grow and to see them going out and expanding and Erin, I posted, I sent you that picture. I was like, oh, what am I watching today? And you're like, oh, look at that baby face. And I'm like, holy crap, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, been a long time ago.
But it is really cool seeing like all these people grow to see you go from stand up comedy to directing to see I think the next one that we're going to see directing is Erin over here. She's going to be directing a movie and you know
I would like that. I think that would be amazing. I'm really interested in doing that.
oh yeah. See, I every time I think I'm going to direct my first movie, something happens and I don't, and then I have to postpone it. And technically, I'm supposed to be shooting a movie, and I have a budget and the whole 9 yards. I have everything, and I'm like, I'll get to it, maybe. I don't. I'm horrible about that.
I'm
And
like
then,
more comfortable being like a vessel for the work, you know what I mean? Like being a director seems so monumental, but I don't know, maybe.
yeah, and I think if you have the people,
Mm.
you know, I think that helps a lot, because
Yeah.
you guys worked on movies together. You've got other people that you've worked on movies with and stuff like that. And you can be like, hey, can you show up for a day? I got this part I wrote for you, or I got this, and you guys can nail that, and you can. It's pretty cool that you're able to do stuff like that. And like I said, I think it's awesome that whole thing exists down there in Dayton area, and it's so funny. And I'm not gonna lie, it's so funny when I'm like well, when there used to be video stores, when you go through and I'd see like, oh, hey, look, there's Erin, and then like, oh, hey, I know all these people in the back of this DVD.
Yeah.
Everyone,
It's a trip. It's
yeah,
weird.
and
Dayton's a cool scene. I mean, I got to say, I've not, I think through Henrik, I might have done 8 films with Henrik and then a couple with Adam or one with Adam. And then, it's, I've never had, no one's ever blown up on set at each other. I've never seen any of that, like anybody on our set. No one really disagreed. We all got along pretty good. And I've never ever been on a set where someone just went ballistic on somebody else, but I've heard about it. So it happens, but I've just never experienced that. And I think I've been involved with enough stuff where if that was ever a problem, it would have happened by now. But I just think we're pretty, I always think Dayton is big enough to be, you know, big enough, but then not so small that we don't all know each other. And if you are a jerk, I think your reputation will ripple through pretty quickly.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I picked a lot of good people I picked good people, period. But, I think we had a lot of fun and we didn't really have anything heavy go on that I remember,
I don't
so.
think so. Yeah.
I asked this of all the directors I've had on the show. Budget is No problem. You can get any budget you want. You can hire one actor. Who are you hiring? And two, what film genre would you like to do next?
Oh, well, I can answer the. Does it have to be a different film genre? Because I think I know.
No, no.
Okay, well, I want to do comedy, you know, and I think my next idea, I guess I got done saying I don't bounce things off of people, but I did talk to Erin about it, and my next one will be a little darker. It's not going to be as goofy as this one, but hire any actor or actress. I don't know. I'm too dumb to answer that question. I don't. I'm too movie dumb to answer that question. But Leslie Nielsen, bring him back to life. There you go. That's who I want.
You know what? I used to say that. I was like, time. I was at money and time are no worries. Who would you do? And I've gotten some great ones. But man, Leslie Nielsen would be freaking hilarious. Man, love that early stuff that he did. I just rewatched Airplane the other day. So,
Oh yeah, so good, so good.
So silly. So
I
silly.
know it's just, and they took a few risks, and a lot of that movie, some of that movie wouldn't fly
no.
today. So it was just, I think it wasn't even that risky back then. But like, I'm afraid Scraps will have to be shot. You know, I mean, it's like they shoot the dog.
Oh
hey, blank. See, Scraps is fine. Like that's. I don't think animal like domestic animal jokes fly nowadays. You know,
June Cleaver knew how to talk jive.
Yeah,
would not fly nowadays, and I
was going to say
still
that
laugh
one.
at that scene. Still hilarious.
Yeah.
What brought it up was my buddy just quit smoking, and he's like complaining, like, you picked the wrong day to stop smoking.
Yeah.
And stop sniffing glue and stop doing it.
Yeah.
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 Great.
I forgot the name of the actor, but he was the guy in the tower. Like, what can you make of this? What can I make a hat? I can make a brooch.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then he was funny, and he was in the second one. And I always thought Airplane 2 with Shatner was just as funny as almost as funny as Airplane 1. And just with Shatner, you know, who usually wasn't a comedy guy, but this would be to Erin, to tell Erin, like, look at Shatner in Airplane 2. And Shatner was a kind of serious, obviously, I don't know any. He was deadpan and all that stuff, you know, and it was perfect, you know.
I've said this once, I'll say this 1,000 times. Erin has one of the best deadpan deliveries ever.
Oh, thank you.
In Slumber Party. Oh my God. That whole nope. That is just, I laughed every time I watched that scene of that movie.
Good.
Just laugh at that. Because it's just so deadpan, like, nope, can't get used to that. Nope.
It's just it's so funny because it seems so simple, but I'm glad it brought you so much laughter and joy.
When we saw that in Columbus, and I was like, oh, that's freaking funny. And then, like, you know, a couple of days later, I rewatched it, and I hit it, and it still funny. And like I said, I watched it until I loaned out the DVD and never got it back. I will eventually get a copy of that again.
Right. So it'll be all right.
Oh yeah.
We'll figure it out.
These days. That's one of the bad things about, as much as I love, like, I've loaned out so many movies that have been made around here to like people I worked with and stuff. I'm like, I want to see this. Now I just go, okay, go to Tubi, go look up this person, and you're fine. Okay. And I'm not lending you my DVDs because I'll never get it
there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good development. You don't have to lend DVDs out and hope they come back.
And I've asked Erin, how do you feel about that? You people can watch you worldwide now. Is that like surreal?
Well, I think you got to talk to Erin about that. I think she's got a bigger footprint than anything I do.
Yeah, but
I guess Bulldog's on Tubi now, is it?
No, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's like
that's cool. That's cool stuff.
That's like, I found out through Henrik that Bulldog for Christmas is huge in Germany. And I'm like, he goes, so if any Germans ever say hi to you, that's probably why. I'm like,
He showed us. It was a Christmas party, and he put on the DVD of the French. I don't know if Erin was there.
I think I was there. I
The
remember.
French, the French version, and it was all dubbed over.
Yeah.
But and I think that one was on TV.
Oh, was it?
Somehow, I don't know if it's an ancillary channel or something, but it was on. He said it was on TV in France, and I couldn't. Man, I wish I had a copy of that because I have a deep voice, and like my voice does not match my voice at all. But I
Really
had like
sweet.
this really macho kind of sounding voice, and you could tell it was just they must have just got a bunch of people in a room and like, you're Eric Kroger. That was my name, Eric Kroger. You never found out my last name was Kroger, but
Named after a grocery store. No.
yeah, Kroger. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was fun to watch, and I bet you still got it. But that would be cool to see.
Yeah, it's one of the ones where you're just like, really, Germany of all places, we're that's big there, and he's like, yeah, he goes because he had he told me he had the analytics one time, and it showed where it was like where it was airing, and like it aired a lot on like German television, and I'm like,
Wow.
wow,
That's awesome.
crazy.
That's fantastic.
German's like, yes, it's ein art film. We will watch it. I don't want to keep it too much longer, but I do have to ask, where can people find you online?
The funny thing about the movie, well, I'm on Facebook.
Yeah.
You have to spell my name correctly, but it's that's a tough one with the weird Italian name that means nothing. So I'm on Facebook a lot and Instagram and all that good stuff. I have a Facebook page for the movie. The only funny thing is somehow jackass is a bad word now or something. So I couldn't put Big Trouble in Jackass Flats in the name of the page, which when I was a kid, jackass was a way to cheat and say the bad word that had part of the bad word in it. And we're like, so Facebook would not let me put the word jackass in it. So you actually have to, this is bad marketing. But then again, the novel was originally going to be titled Hemorrhoids at High Noon. So I think I'm doing okay here. So you have to actually just ampersand Big Trouble and then look for the artwork, and then find that one because there's all sorts of Big Troubles on Facebook. But there'll be a dedicated webpage at some point. And, you can reach out to me there. I do a lot of networking on Facebook mostly because I'm the guy in his 50s that Facebook is for us, but I'm trying to get into Instagram more. And what the heck am I now? Oh, and I have a YouTube channel where I put clips up, and I have a solo podcast that I do bi-weekly, semi-weekly. I can never figure out which it is, but every other weekly. And that's on my YouTube, and it's on Spotify. It's called What's Wrong with Mike, and it's just a rant about what's wrong with the universe. But so you if you can spell my name right, you'll find a lot of crap out there, and some of it's crap. Let me just say.
Yep. And you can find him on I think you can put your name in on Tubi or Plex, and it will bring up the movies you've been in. So you can find the movies that Mike has been in, and you can find the movies that Erin's been in, and you cannot find the movies I've been in because my name doesn't pop up. So
you got something to look forward to.
Yeah, one day I have been a extra in a lot of movies, and the one movie I was a featured actor in has never been released. So
oh no, there's still time.
Oh yeah,
there's still time for
yeah.
Things.
And I'm not gonna lie. One of the weirdest things is that with the podcast and the other shows I do, I've got people watching me all over the world. I've had people from Australia get a hold of me, and I'm like, why?
That's awesome.
Why are you watching me in Australia? That seems silly.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm just a dude living, like, hanging out in the basement talking about cartoons all day. So,
well, the funny thing is, the next one is not going to be a period piece, and I'm not going anywhere, so I know where you're at. You're only a little ways up there. Don't be surprised I come hitting on you for the next one because I'll need help with the next one too.
Oh yeah, anything you need, I will be there. And as I've told many of people, I was like, if you ever need a location that is a comic or gaming store, you can use my store too. So not a problem. So
Bad.
yeah, and you have to worry about my weird customers that come in and yeah. So
we've had People to Kill, Adam Clevenger's project. We had a pretty fun time in a Star Trek themed store in Columbus. So, but it closed. Didn't it close? I think it
It
closed.
did, yeah. Sadly.
But that was
Yeah,
a cool store. That was a
it was
cool.
cool. It was weird. There was stuff everywhere and you couldn't stop looking. Like just there was always something new. You could look at the same wall several times and find something new.
oh,
It was nuts.
hold on a second. This is I showed Erin a little bit of this. This is just my basement, and this is where stuff goes to die. I mean, comic books stacked everywhere, Star Wars helmets, my kids' toys, my arcade, and movie posters for movies that people have no clue. And people come down there like, "What movie's that?" I was like, "You don't know what Deadly Blessings from Wes Craven is? Jeez, come on."
Let me tell you.
Let me tell you, it's a great movie. Ernest Borgnine was in it. Sharon Stone was in it.
Sharon Stone?
Yeah.
She has my birthday. I think we have the same birthday. Weirdly enough.
Big crush on Sharon Stone back in Lethal Weapon. No, yeah. Wait, no. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Total Recall.
Total Recall.
Yep.
Oh,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of them ones where everybody's like, "Oh, she was hot," and Basic Instinct. I was like, "Did you ever see Total Recall?"
Total Recall is one of my favorites.
God, so good, so good.
And they even got the scientifically accurate eyeballs popping out a little bit when the dome broke open in the sequence. So I'm like, yeah.
When her tongue swells up and her eyes are bugging out.
I'm so sick of watching people get sucked out of spacecrafts and they don't explode because it's a vacuum out there. One time I was watching Outer Limits and they got it right. This guy gets sucked out of like a spaceship, and he goes and he explodes, but then it went bang and made a noise. I'm like, thank God.
Event Horizon.
Oh my God.
When the kid gets blown out the airlock and his eyes are and he's it takes about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That movie is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. It's because I saw it when I was like 9 years old. No one should ever see that movie at that young. Like it scared me really horribly to this day.
Tina and I went to Huber Heights to go see that because it's the only place it was playing. Mm-hmm. And we go in and there's literally like her and I, and there's like a couple other people, but there's a family with 2 little kids and they're just crying. And we're just like, take your kids out of the theater. First time I've ever went to the front office and goes, you need to take these people out of the theater. This is ridiculous. These kids.
Yeah, it's truly horrific. It's really awful.
And just think that's the edited version.
Yeah. Oh.
It's horrific. Well, Mike, man, I don't want to keep you much longer because I'm going to get ready to go upstairs and eat dinner probably here in about 10 minutes. But it's been a blast having you on. When you this might drop as early as tomorrow at noon. Cool. Because I'll just probably get back to editing when I get done with this. I'll put do you mind if I put the clip in? Please do. Yeah. I do have to say the clip is maybe needs a little color and sound matching, but you get the idea. Yeah. Great to show your viewers what I'm a 10%er, man. The 10% of people are going to like this, and maybe 90% might be like, I'm out. But the nice thing is the way we constructed the first few scenes, it's like, here's what it is, guys. What you're seeing there is scene 5, which is probably about 10-ish minutes into the movie, 10 to 12. So you're starting to see the gravity of it, and that's the clip. I guess if I had to describe, I can just put a little disclaimer. I'm like, hey, this is uncorrected. This is just it's just got to be polished a little more. Like I said, that's my version of almost finished. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at my board up here. It says the color it's got a half check mark and the sound's got a half check mark. So I got just to make sure that the sound levels and the color matching is okay. But it's what it is. I'll do that all at the end when I smell the finish line. And I'm going to be in a car all day driving back to my hometown, but I will check it out when I
get back to Wi-Fi world.
Yeah, have fun, but be careful on your way over there. It's been a blast talking with you. Anytime you want to come on and talk about stuff, let me know. We'll get you back on.
We're neighbors. We're neighbors. So
yeah.
I'm just going to be here tied to this computer for the next few months.
Heck yeah. And like I said, if you need anything, let me know. And if I can help, I will. I mean, I don't
appreciate it.
Yeah. So, but it's been great. And I am going to end it right here.
Is this where the ladies? Where the ladies you can lay on top of?
Damn enough.
I ain't never laid on top of a lady.
Shows. Now shut up. Let me handle the investigation.
Sheriff.
Hello, Miss Lily.
Just Lily's fine.
Hello, just Lily. My name is Otis Spunkmeyer. I'm your sheriff.
I'm familiar. I didn't vote for you.
Very well. Miss Lily, I'm sure you know I don't like being here under the circumstances.
You don't like a battered woman, you say?
I like my catfish battered.
Shut up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now, Miss Lily, I need to speak with the witness. Is this her?
Yes, the one with the bruises on her face, Sherlock.
Excuse me, whore.
Don't call my girls that. She's a working lady.
Sorry, just Lily. Excuse me, working whore. The person who accosted you, what did he look like?
Like a clown?
And did he have any distinguishing facial features?
He had his face painted. I'm telling you, it was Wild Bill.
Oh my gosh.
Could you interpret these ink blots for me?
Disenchantment, broken dreams, moth of feet.
You like it rough?
What?
Just saying, maybe you like it rough and so does Wild Bill.
Oh, okay, Sheriff. Let's just cut to the chase.
Oh, I ain't looking forward to that one bit.
Nor am I. Now, Sheriff, I'm going to perform a quite hefty monologue, to which you, in response, will only be able to reply with one, maybe two syllable utterances.
Huh?
You see, Sheriff, I find the law enforcement in this town to be as feckless as a titless heifer.
Titless?
I've been thinking about things, Sheriff. Options.
Options.
Oh, I got options. If my girls have to contend with a posse of insane clowns roughing them up on the daily, then maybe I just might move all my businesses to Big Gulp.
Big Gulp. Oh my God.
You dang right, Big Gulp. The mayor of Big Gulp has approached me offering tax breaks.
Tax breaks.
Tax breaks, abatements, and offsets. Imagine this here town without the livery, the saloon, the hotel, and my whorehouse. You see, Sheriff, when you don't take my best interest to heart, it makes a businesswoman like myself want to take matters into her own hands.
Not just Lily. Well, I'm sure the random acts of vigilantism would help the rise in action of the story and improve the overall narrative. It's also very much against the laws of this time.
I understand that, Sheriff. But maybe those clown cronies in your pocket just like it rough.
seeing this, Sheriff?
Some screwed up shit.
Are those all really clowns, Sheriff?
Yes.
Are they insane?
Certifiably. Advanced syphilis is a bitch.
Oh my God.
Now listen,
Oh my God.
if anything goes awry, the emergency call is Snowball.
Snowball?
Snowball.
Snowball?
Snowball.
Snowball?
This ain't advancing the narrative.
Who are we?
The horrors of Jackass Flats!
You know, I just want to do some gunslinging. I mean, this dry goods business is just so dry.
I got a telegram for you. Slim Goody, interim marshal of Jackass Flats.
Interim marshal?
Not me, I've been shot 3 times. Wait. 4 times counting this one.
The only guns I need is this one, pow, and that one, boom!
Not just big trouble,
Mr. Mayor, wake up.
Whatever is fine.
There's a mob outside and they're throwing cow pies.
A mob outside. That's all you got, boy?
People of Jackass Flats, burn your wishes, your savage, cruel, and self-centered wishes. You will now witness a gun duel to the death.
In Jackass Flats.
Miss Sprinkle! Miss Sprinkle!
Oh, yeah. Giddy up.